All right, so this is our third Monday Jumpstart, and I am very excited. This is something I've been working with Patty on with the leadership team for the past few weeks, and I'm excited to work with everybody on it today, and that is Q2 planning. So who can believe that we are already entering the second quarter of the year on Thursday? It seems
I can't.
It seems impossible. So what I wanted to talk to everybody about today is doing some goal setting around Q2, how to measure what you did in Q1 so that you can see if there is catch up that needs to be done or measure whether or not you're on track, and to help you really put pen to paper in creating a strategic plan that you can execute on in the second quarter. Because we know by the time the second quarter is done, right, we have April, May, and June, you're really heading towards the end of the year in terms of the income you're going to make almost, right? Once you head into the third quarter, your business really is determined in the third quarter for the balance of the year with the way that we do closings, right? So we want to make sure in the second quarter, if we're off track for the year from the first quarter, that we reset, right, refocus, and make a plan so that we can stay on track for the balance of the year. So tell me something good that happened in the first quarter. Chris, I'll start with you. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry.
You're good.
I got three things. I got 2 listings.
Yay!
But the most fun thing was putting my sale sign in a piece of property.
Yes.
Which was just a vacant lot, 1 acre, but that was kind of fun.
Exciting. For those of you that don't know Chris, he's one of our newer agents in the office, and he's off to an amazing start so far. Yeah, congrats, Chris. That's so exciting. Sharon, what's one good thing that happened in the first quarter?
I went off on my own. I was on a team and I decided to go on my own.
That's amazing.
It's scary, but really exciting, and I'm very happy.
Good.
And, one new listing, and I have a listing appointment next week. So far, so good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So this will be a timely meeting today.
Yes, definitely.
Right? Yeah. Setting your new goals for your new business. Awesome. Patty, what's one good thing that happened in the first quarter?
One good thing is becoming a PC coach and helping other people work to achieve their goals, which helps me achieve mine.
Excellent. I love that. That's great. Hazel. Oh, she's like, no, I'm leaving. Bye. You're on mute.
Okay. Hi. Well, this past weekend, I should say, is this the new quarter or are we still in the same quarter?
Thursday will be the new quarter.
Oh, okay. All right. I finally got an accepted, well, we were in contract, but then we were still negotiating. So I finally got it to move forward.
Excellent.
So that was good. And then I just got another accepted offer on another listing, and I closed on a listing last week. Not
Great.
a listing, but just I was the buyer side. I closed on something last year.
Excellent.
Last week. And I also do a lot of rentals, so I close on a lot of those.
Good.
So,
Great. That sounds good. That's great. Congrats, Hazel.
thank you.
Alice, tell us one good thing that happened in the first quarter for you.
Hi, this is my first time visiting with you.
I know. How are you?
I'm good. I usually let it slip by. I don't let it slip by. It slips by. I mean to come in and it slips by.
Well, we're happy you're here with us today.
Okay, I have nothing to report.
Okay, but there's one good thing had to have happened in the past 3 months. And it could be anything. It doesn't need to be business.
Rentals, a couple of
Okay.
rentals. Okay.
Good.
That's
Excellent.
it for now.
Great.
On my schedule is call all my past clients until I at least get somebody to talk to,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Awesome.
That's it.
That's it. That's all good stuff. Scott, what's one good thing that happened in the first quarter?
Just one?
Just one.
Just one. I would have to say my investor getting into contract.
Very exciting. Was your closing in the first quarter? No, that was last year. Your first closing was last year.
No, my first closing was January, so technically first quarter.
Excellent. Scott's also one of our new agents. That's so exciting. Great. Congrats.
Thank you.
Lamari, are you there? Do you want to come off mute and share with us one good thing that happened in the first quarter?
I am here.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Business-wise, I'm gonna say I seem to be getting a lot of referrals from previous clients and friends.
Great.
So that's good moving forward. And more personal, I got to see my parents in February, which was really nice. Haven't seen them since over a year. So that was nice.
That is nice. That's great. It's nice we seem to be returning to some regular order at some point, this year. That'll be nice. That's great. Let's see. One good thing that happened to me, we moved into our new house in the first quarter. That was January 18th, and we've been knee deep in home projects since then. So that was exciting. And on the market center level, January 1st, we were fully staffed. That was a big push in the end of 2020 to get staff for our agents. So that was a good accomplishment. And we have hit our goals in terms of growth, our growth goals for agents to the office for the quarter, which sets us up nicely heading into the second quarter, because that's one of the big rock goals that we keep a measure of in the market center. So those are all good things. Okay, so here's my next question. At the end of 2020, raise your hand if you did an economic business model where you sat with your income goal and you broke it down into how many appointments that was going to translate to for the year. Okay, about 50-50. Okay, good. So if that is not something you've done yet, I would recommend starting with the economic business model. It's right out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and it's a series of formulas where you start with your big income goal for the year, and then you calculate out how many listings you need to take, how many buyers you need to work with, and then how that translates in terms of appointments that you need to go on. So when you start to look at your quarter goals, right, as a real estate agent, that really should look like an income goal, right, for the second quarter, and probably an appointment goal, like going on the number of appointments that you need to go on. Notice I didn't say closings or taking a certain number of listings or getting a certain number of buyer agreements, right? To some extent, we don't have control over those things, right? But what do we have control over? We have control over how much we're lead generating and how many appointments we're setting for ourselves. And then there's always going to be a conversion ratio where we set a certain number of appointments and a certain percentage of them turn into clients, right? And a certain percentage of them don't turn into clients. And then there's another conversion ratio once we have clients that goes from making sure that you now have an active listing, you have a buyer that's agreeing to work with you, to closings, right? We know that not every deal closes, and sometimes that is totally out of our control. Sometimes a deal doesn't close because there's a title issue, the house doesn't appraise, the seller decides they don't want to sell anymore, right? Lots of reasons there. So that's another conversion ratio that isn't always out in our control. But what is in our control is the amount of lead generation you're doing and how that correlates to how many appointments you're setting for yourself. So as we head into the second quarter, my first tip of advice is to look at your economic business plan, dust it off if you did it at the end of 2020. If you haven't done it yet, get with either your team leader or a productivity coach, or feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to send you videos on how to do it to get that completed. And then you have to do what's called a gap analysis. Okay, so what you want to look at is if your 2020 goal was to say make $100,000, right? Essentially what that would break out to is $25,000 a quarter, right? So you make $25,000 each quarter. By the end of the year, you're going to make $100,000. So then you want to do a gap analysis. So did you make that $25,000 in the first quarter? Did you go on the amount of appointments you needed to go on in the first quarter? If you didn't, then your next decision becomes, are you still committed to your annual income goal, or do you want to adjust the goal, which I don't recommend, right? And assuming you're not adjusting the goal, that you're committed to the goal you set for yourself, whatever that gap is has to be rolled into the second quarter in order to stay on track. So if you said, I need to go on a very common one, usually $100,000 income is approximately 5 appointments per month is usually how it shakes out. So that would mean that by now in the first quarter, you would have had to have gone on 15 appointments. Again, I didn't say you don't have to take 15 listings. You don't have to close 15 houses. You just have to talk to enough people that 15 of them either let you in their house to do a listing appointment or let you do a buyer consultation on the phone or at Starbucks or in the office or wherever it is. If you did 10 in the first quarter, well, that means that your new goal for quarter 2 becomes 20, right? So you can't just do 15 in the second quarter and expect by the end of the year for all of your income to shake out. So if you have not done that yet, I would recommend taking a look at those numbers. Now, for those of you that have been on with us for a couple of weeks and I shared the ARC planner that I use, and I know so many of you messaged me afterwards and said, I got the ARC planner and I'm using it and it's awesome. One of the ways that I was tracking things when I was in production is I have a calendar insert in my ARC planner. It's the first tab, and there's a little page where it says the month and then planning, and it's this box. You could do this on a regular sheet of paper. It's like note space, and then there's boxes. Oh my God, I always forget with the mirrored. These little boxes. In these little boxes, I would write buyer appointments, listing appointments, days lead generated, whatever it is that you're working on, listings taken, listings sold, projected income, actual income. And I would measure that each month at the beginning of the month, so that when the quarter was over, I just would look on these. It's just 3 sheets. You look on those 3 sheets and you make it measurable, right? And you're able to see whether or not you are on track or not to set up your second quarter goals. Okay, so now the next thing is when we're talking about setting up your goals, you want to make sure that they follow the SMART acronym. Okay, a goal has to follow the following 5 prongs. It has to be specific. Okay, you can't just say, in the second quarter, I'm going to sell more real estate. It's not very specific. One more deal could be more, right? Like another rental could be more. Right? That's not a specific goal. It has to be measurable. If you can't tell by a yes or no definitive question if you've hit the goal or not, it's not measurable, right? It also has to be attainable. So it has to be relevant. You know, I want to sell $1 billion worth of real estate in the second quarter in the Hudson Valley. It might not be an attainable goal. What happens when you set unattainable goals? They actually become demotivating for you, right? Because it's not realistic. And you know that it's probably not realistic. And then it just sits in a drawer, right? And you don't look at it. And then the third quarter comes around and you go, oh yeah, I got to really figure this out. So attainable. Relevant, meaning it has to be relevant towards your real estate business, right? It has to pertain to something that is your big goal for the year. And then timely, it has to be time bound, which all of these goals should be, since we're talking about quarter 2 planning. So any goal that you set for yourself in quarter 2 should follow that SMART goal. So we could take, I want to sell more real estate too. I want to go on 15 appointments in quarter 2. Or I want to make $25,000 in quarter 2. Now, again, in quarter 2, your income is probably almost already determined for quarter 2 at this point, right? Because your quarter 2 income, it comes from your quarter 1 activities because of the way that the closings timeline takes place. So you probably have a unless you do a lot of rentals, that's quick money, right? You could get the same month. but probably I would say over the next 3 to 4 weeks, your income for quarter one is going to be determined. So that might not even be the best goal to set for yourself, because you might set a goal for quarter three and quarter two to have, this income lined up. I would say that what is a very easy measurable goal is to start with your appointment goal. Okay. So what if you have a piece of paper and you're writing it down, what I want you to write down is, what is your one big goal for quarter two?
I'm sorry, what did you say, Rita? I got distracted.
It's okay. So what we're writing down is, what is your one big goal for quarter two?
Okay.
So is the one thing that you have to do in quarter two in order to stay on track for your yearly goals. Said differently, it might be, what is the one thing you need to do in quarter two in order to grow your business? Okay, so does everyone have something? And if you don't have it written down, that's okay. Just write down the question, right? And put, whenever I'm taking a class, if there's something I need to take action on after the class, I write an A in the margin and I circle it. And typically at the end of the day or the beginning of the next day, I go through all my notes from all my meetings I have all day, and I just jump to anything that has a little A next to it. And then I translate that onto my to-do list that I showed you guys when we were talking about the time management stuff. So you can do the same thing. So if you're not sure what your quarter one goal is because you want to look and see what you did, or what your quarter two goal is because you want to look and see what you did in quarter one, or you have to do your economic business model still, that's fine. Just write down the question and write an A next to it so you remember to take action from it. Okay, so now that you have a big quarter two goal, you want to make sure that that's in line with your yearly goal, right? And we've been doing this exercise in the Market Center where we're following the book, The 12-Week Year. It's a really great book. I recommend it. And it's all about, instead of looking at a whole year and trying to strategize every little thing that has to happen over the course of 12 months, you just have like 12-week sprints essentially, where you focus on a set of strategies and plans for that 12 weeks that will move your business forward. Now, we've been doing this as a Market Center in quarter one. So we had a strategic plan in quarter one that on a weekly basis, we opened up and we looked at, and we said, all right, these are the things that we committed to. They all follow the SMART acronym. So we'll know whether or not we're hitting them, and which ones have we hit so far, and which ones do we need to work on now, and who's doing that on the team, right? That's what we've been working on as a leadership team. You can do the very same thing with a quarter two goal for your real estate business. So now that you have your one big goal, the next question becomes, what are 3 priorities that need to happen in order for you to hit that one big goal? What are your 3 priorities that need to be accomplished following the SMART acronym? So all priorities have to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So if you had an appointment goal, say you have an appointment goal of 15, one of your priorities might be to get your database, put all your names in your database and turn on a 32 touch plan. It could be doing an open house on a property in an area you want to farm every weekend for the next 12 weeks. It could be doing a client event, a past client event in the second quarter, or just calling 5 past clients every day, or 2 past clients every day. Or if you want to look at it a quarter, calling all of your past clients in the second quarter, asking them who do they know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, how their house is, if they have any, plans to move. So you want to come up with 3 of those. Any questions I can answer about picking out those 3 priorities?
I'm sorry, Gilda, I did not catch what R means and what T means.
Okay, perfect. So R is relevant.
Oh, relevant.
Yep.
Uh,
So you can't set, if your big goal is to sell real estate, you can't set a smaller goal to lose weight. I guess they could align, but they probably wouldn't, one wouldn't be relevant to the other. And then T is timely. So it has to be time bound. So timely. So there has to be an end date as to when you plan to achieve it, right?
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions about anything we've gone over from anybody so far? Okay, so now that you have your 3 priorities, those should be your big picture projects, right? Now you want to come up with your 5 strategies that are going to break down that priority. So for example, if your ultimate goal is to go on 15, you can get the ARC planner at Staples or online at staples.com. It's awesome. I should buy stock in ARC actually. Now, maybe that's on my quarter 2 strategic plan. Yeah, it's an awesome system that I can't live without at this point. Okay, so now you have your one big goal, right? You have your 3 priorities, and now you want to come up with 5 strategies. Now, let me let you off the hook and say it doesn't necessarily need to be 5. There's not always 5 strategies or 5 strategies for each priority. Sometimes you start grasping at straws and then the strategies you don't end up executing on. But say, for example, you are your one big goal is to get 15 appointments in quarter 2. And one of your strategies is to call all of your past clients, right? And throughout the quarter. So what are your strategies behind that? So would the first strategy be getting, essentially, what are the steps? Would it be making sure all of your past clients are in your database and tagged as such in command? Could another strategy be making sure after you call them that you're putting them all on the neighborhood nurture smart plan? So at least 12 to 24 times per year, they're getting an email from you with their market stats for their neighborhood. And maybe putting them onto a quarterly call plan after that. That'll get you another 4 touches towards your 32 touch goal. Right? If you're planning on doing open houses every weekend, what would be your what would be some strategies around doing open houses? Would it be writing out what your actual plan is day by day leading up to the open house, or designing templated marketing collateral so that each week you just can use the same marketing pieces over and over again? Okay, so take 5 minutes and write out your strategies to your 3 priorities. Let me know if you have any questions on that. How are we doing? Good. I see a thumbs up from Sharon. Hazel, good. Okay, so again, if you need to go back to this, right, after our meeting, just put a little A next to it so you remember to take action on it afterwards. Okay, so if your one big goal is truly your one big goal, and your your priorities are truly the right priorities that will get you to the one big goal, and your strategies are all things that lead up, right? It flows upwards. Now you have identified all of your big rocks for the second quarter. These now become your priorities, right? These now become the activities that you should be focusing the most time on. So what you can do now with this this is how you create a time blocked calendar, and this is how you do a 411 each week, right? So the document we just put together is, if you've been around Keller Williams, this shouldn't be the first time that you've done this exercise. It's a 1-3-5. We also call it a GPS, okay, for goals, priorities, and strategies. And it's the GPS, the directions for your business, right? And so the one big goal is at the top. We have 3 strategies, 5 priorities underneath it. And now you have your plan for the second quarter. So now what do you do? Now, each week, if you're using a 411 tool, right, which breaks down your goals into your monthly goals. So if you have a quarterly goal to go on 15 appointments, that would make your monthly goal 5 appointments, right? That would make your monthly goal 5 appointments for next month. If you don't go on 5 appointments, it doesn't mean in May your appointment goal is 5. It means it's 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever it is to make it up. So you're still going on the 15th. Okay, so now you look at that and then you prioritize each week which one of those strategies that you just outlined do you want to execute on, right? If it's the first week, is it is it lining up your open houses for the month? Is it putting your names into commands? Is it calling 10 past clients? Is it calling 10 people in your database, or adding 10 people, or following up with 10 people in your database? Those become your priorities for the week. And then when you look at your calendar for the week, right, on Sunday, you should have some planning time, or Monday morning first thing. Now what you want to do is look and time block. So put onto your calendar, when during the week are you accomplishing those goals, right? When during the week are you going to accomplish those goals? Now, again, like we talked about when we were talking about the time management stuff, if you make it narrow enough so that it's attainable, achievable, and you focus there first, the rest of your time can be spent doing all of the rest of the stuff, right? The deal management, the this, the that, maybe taking classes in the market center, or your kids might be starting sports again, right? As we head into spring, going to all the sporting events, or whatever it is, you can fit all of that stuff in. And when you're clear on your priorities, you'll know whether or not you're also moving your business forward while doing all of the other stuff that you want to do. Any questions on any of this? Here's the truth about it. If this is a new strategy and a new way of doing things, it's going to probably take you the entire quarter to actually make this a habit. Okay? Because this is what happens, and I've been guilty of this, right? At the end of the year, we start gearing up. We're like, it's business planning time. We're going to set big goals for ourselves, and everything's going to be great. And we're going to make all this money, and we're going to grow our business and do all this great stuff. And then what happens? One or two things happen. You get into the year and things start getting busy. I know in March, I've sold real estate. I've been part of market center leadership for 4 years now. March, things start going sideways with people. You stop attending classes. You start getting busy in your business. You start putting deals together, which is awesome. So you stop lead generating consistently. And then what happens? The second quarter becomes kind of a blur. So then the third quarter becomes feeling like you're behind. And then the fourth quarter rolls around and you're like, oh, the fourth quarter, I'm going to change it all next year. And let's do goal setting and business planning again, right? And then you set these big plans and then the whole thing starts snowballing again. Chris, I see you coming off mute. Was there something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I'm having trouble with the priorities. I get all the different strategies, and I get the big goal. The big goal, in my case, it's like, the appointments.
Great.
But when you talk about priorities, give me some examples, because I'm not sure I know what you really mean.
In terms of the 3 priorities?
Yeah.
So how do you plan to lead generate in order to set those appointments?
Well, like currently I've been doing Facebook ads. I just started doing expired letters. I have a handful of nurtured leads that I want to stay on top of. I call them warm to hot. Um, and then basically I have a postcard campaign for my neighbors that I've been sending out 100 mailers. I just did my second quarter, and I got 3 huge leads from those, and I have 1 or 2 other people talking to me. So, but when you talk about priority, like I get to me that's the footwork, like that's the in the gym, that's the reps, that's doing the reps. But the priorities, talk about what you mean by priorities, because I'm not sure I understand. Maybe I do, I get it. I just don't know what you mean by it.
Sure. So from all of those things you just listed, which ones are things you need to work on or develop in the second quarter?
So under priorities, what I wrote was like more leads, more face-to-face meetings, meaning meeting people face-to-face, not appointments, but like just meet more, because we've been locked up and whatnot. And now things are opening. So I want to, for instance, the other day I was in a gas station that I go to all the time. And there's the guy who runs it, I thought was the manager. Joe and I, all of a sudden we start talking to him. He's this really great guy. He's not only the owner, but his family owns a chain of stores. And I know them from a past life through, I used to go to the convenience store show, the trade show. So we were going, talking. So of course I exchanged cards with him, and he's interested in commercial real estate. He's interested in residential because he's an entrepreneur. I realized that, my God, in that one meeting and just having a conversation, I got so much accomplished. So one of my goals, my priority, I want to do more of that. I want to go to more places, talk to people.
Okay. So how can you make that measurable? More is subjective. So how can you make that measurable?
Give it a number, like do that at least for maybe, I don't know, let's say 3 times a week. I'd like to, have a constructive meeting or conversation with somebody, maybe in my town, or maybe, neighbors or more, or whatever it might be.
Okay.
I started putting together a list of people like who do lawns around me. Like, they know them, they know everybody in town. So like I little by little, I'm going through, I'm getting deeper and deeper into the sphere, if you will. People who I would have thought of.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so that's the goal, right? Would be, but you have to make it measurable. So it'd be, how many of those conversations do you want to have on a weekly basis? So say it's 5, 1 a day, essentially. Right?
Okay.
Say it's 1 a day. Well, then your strategies would be all of the things you're going to do to have those conversations. So is it local networking events? Is it finding a directory and calling the businesses? Is it just door knocking and talking to your neighbors? We're sending out a quarter 2 postcard to everybody and then calling around the neighborhood, right? Like that's where you've set a big goal that's now measurable, right? You're going to know whether or not you have 5 conversations each week. And then underneath that is like the nitty gritty, all the stuff you just listed. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So maybe part of my time block is going into town or leaving, obviously the office, and getting a cup of coffee and making sure, maybe you meet somebody, or, I know a bunch of people at different places, and not to make, I'm funny like that. I don't want to make it look contrived, but at the same token, I want to have a conversation. So work it out.
So maybe you set a goal and you say 3 times a week, I go down to the coffee shop and I don't leave until I've handed my card to 5 people.
That's the one. Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know that there's agents that will go down like once a week or whatever frequency. They'll go sit at Starbucks or the local coffee shop. They'll give the barista like $100 and say, whoever comes in, the next $100 that's spent is on me. And you hope no one walks in and spends like 50, and then it's like half your money's gone on one person. But then you sit there and they just say, oh, it's compliments of Chris. He's sitting, he's sitting over there. He's a real estate agent, or they don't even have to say that. It's compliments of Chris. And then they would walk over and say, thanks. And you just say, hey, I'm a real estate agent in the area. I'm doing this because I want to get to know the community a little bit better. And this was just a thank you. I'd love to give you 2 business cards, one for you to keep, another one to pass to anybody that that has a real estate need.
No, very good.
The goal is just to do it consistently, right? That's the other part of it. When we're setting up these goals, it's at least for me, like it's fun to set up a goal and create a strategic plan around it. And then the point behind that is honestly pretty boring, right? Like you've probably heard before, success is boring. It's doing the same actions over and over and over and over again to get repeated results. I think that a lot of very good real estate agents and good salespeople don't want to stay in the system long enough to see the results. So they'll start doing this, and then someone will call them with some new lead system, and then they'll do this a little bit, and then they'll go over here and do this, and then they do this. They're like doing too much almost, right? Where it could be simpled down, right? You could use the 1-3-5, this format for anything, honestly. You want to lose weight? What's your one big goal around that? What are 3 priorities? Is it exercise, eating, and whatever, getting better sleep? And then what are your strategies to do those 3 things? Whatever it is you could put into that confine to break it down into actionable steps, but you have to just do it over and over again. That's the secret to the secret sauce. If you've been looking for the secret sauce, that's it. It is doing the same things repetitively until you do them enough that your business starts to kick in. I know I've worked with so many newly licensed agents, and like who knows, probably I'm well over 100 over the past 3 years, and I see so many of them that do things for a little bit, a couple of weeks, and then they write it off and go, well, that just doesn't work. So let me try this other thing. And then they go door knocking. On that first time that they door knock, no one's looking to buy or sell. So then that doesn't work. So then they run a Facebook ad, and then they get a bunch of leads, but none of those leads are buying right now. So that doesn't work, right? And you go down the list of things that don't work. Well, then you hear from some agents that say, yeah, for Nick Baldwin, for example, tomorrow, he's teaching a class that's free to all of you guys that I hope you're all registered for. He's going to teach you how to generate 100 leads online. And he sold $12 million in volume just off of Facebook ads through commands. He's going to tell you the exact system, the ads, who he targeted, what he said in the ads, what his follow-up systems are, which are all free, by the way, in command for you. But he's been doing that consistently for a year, right? If you asked him 2 weeks in, how's it going? I'm sure he wouldn't say, I have $12 million in volume pending from the Facebook ads, right? So that's part of it too. That's why we say pick 3 priorities. You can't pick 35 priorities in your business. You're not going to do it. Like, you just have to be realistic. You're not going to do it. But if you pick 3 and you do it through the whole quarter and they're measurable, you will move your business forward incrementally, right? And so it does take 66 days to form a habit, right? So if we start in the first quarter, we're talking about the first 2 months of the second quarter, you have to grin and bear it and follow the process to the point where then all of a sudden it's uncomfortable to not do it that way, right? Like I was just saying, and it's funny how it translates to all sorts of things. So I've shared at the beginning, one of my big goals for the first quarter was we moved into our new house. Well, we moved an hour away from the place that I had just lived for 20 plus years to a place that I had been to 3 times. So it was very like everything was new. So, and I tripled my commute to work. So driving home the first couple of months, I've consciously had to think about my commute home. Like, okay, right, I need to get into the other lane here. I need to get off this exit, this, that, the other thing. Oh my God, this is so long. Like, this is insane, right? The whole thing has been going on for the past 2 months. I just noticed on Friday driving home that I was just home. Like, I just got in the car, I turned on my podcast I listened to, and on autopilot, just turned off the roads, got the whole thing down, and I pulled in, and it didn't seem like this whole long like trek that I had felt like I have been doing. And I looked up, I said to my husband when I got home, I go, I finally think I'm just in the habit of coming to this house after work, and now this is just what I do. I'm not kidding you, almost to the day, it had been 66 days since we moved into our house. So 60, I mean, I don't drive in on the weekends, but it was about 2 months, a little over 2 months, where it was uncomfortable at first. And it was kind of annoying because it wasn't the same system and process that I was used to. And it was a little bit out of, it wasn't out of my comfort zone, but it was just different than what I was used to, right? It was a little more annoying than my 15-minute commute I used to have. Now I'm just like, that's just what I do. I drive home and then I'm home and then it's cool and I'm home, right? The same rules apply with all this stuff. I can't stress this enough. You will set these goals and we'll be sitting here in 12 weeks and I'll be going, hey, and I'll hold the same class. It'll be the same thing. It's never going to change. What's your one big goal? What are the 3 priorities? What's the 5 strategies? How'd you do in the second quarter? What do you need to roll over into the third quarter to stay on track for the year? And you guys will know whether or not you're shuffling through all your folders and going, where did I put that? Where I gotta brush it off. Oh, right. I was gonna do all this stuff. Or, oh yeah, I was doing so good on that. The first week Rita told me to do it. And then I got busy. And then I had a new listing. And then I had a bunch of closings. And then, right? So the key goes back to our time management class where you can strategize and do all this great stuff. And whether or not you actually hit it is going to rise and fall in what you do daily, right? If every day you follow the system and you have your 1-3-5 right in front of you and you look at it, and when you're planning for your week, you have your 1-3-5 right in front of you and you're identifying which things on that piece of paper you're actually going to execute on that week. Thoughts, comments, feedback, ahas? Or did you guys know all this already? And I'm preaching to the choir.
I appreciate getting back on track because I've done this before, but the team that I was on was not doing it. So, it feels familiar and it feels good, to have a plan to follow.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Great.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. How nice would it be if going into the third quarter, you were like, I don't even need to take that class. I already have my strategic plan done. I don't need to sit with Rita and have her tell me to do a GPS. It's already completed.
Yes. That would be great.
Right. Awesome. Hazel, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, it's getting the calendar down, I tend to start off with calendars or planners. And then for some reason I stop them. I can't seem to do them. I want to just keep it all in my head, or I tend to throw it on my calendar that's on the wall, anything I have to do. Something about setting it up, that planner I've tried a lot and I seem to just move away from it. And I don't know why.
Do you find writing is more helpful or having it accessible on your phone via like a Google Calendar is more helpful?
No, I don't know. I write down things in my calendar, but I just have to get better at it. That's all.
So
for some reason it's not like a Bible for me. It doesn't seem to be work, look at it every day, see what I can put on it every day. No, I put on it as soon as I have something. I'll write it in. So.
Do you have planning time baked into your week each week?
Well, that's the consistency that I've got to work on. Time blocking, setting aside 9 to 11 or whatever time works for me, and making that consistent and habit forming. That's what.
So what time of the week can you set aside to plan out that week's schedule? I used to do it Sunday mornings habitually.
Well, that's it. That's the other thing. I've got to plan that. I should try to do it on a Sunday. Yes. Sunday evening while I'm watching TV, maybe, I don't know, have my planner out and writing down what I need to do. Yes.
Would you say that that's the first step?
Yes. Yes. Okay. That is. Yes. And
So what could you do to remind yourself on Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon, if you're not going to do it automatically, in order to stop and do the planning?
I can set my phone that goes beep, 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 beep.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's time to plan.
Right.
Yes.
And are you clear on what you need to do during that planning time?
Yes. I know what I need to do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes if you set that alarm, you will find 3 months from now, you'll already be doing it and the alarm goes off.
Right. That's what I want to get to. And I understand that that's part of habit for me,
Yeah.
looking at a habit. Now, I always look at the market. Every day I look at the market. That is a habit now. I have
Mhm.
created a habit. I cannot go to bed until I've looked at the market. you
Yep.
know.
Right.
And I realized that, wow, that is a habit. I've
Yeah.
created a habit. So, and that's
Yeah.
very important to look
Yes.
at the market every day, what's sold, what's in contract, what's new, everything. So,
It's a great habit to have.
yes.
I always say, I always think about brushing you had to form a habit when you learned how to brush your teeth, right? When you were born, you weren't born knowing that you had to brush your teeth twice a day. At some point you got teeth and your parents made you brush your teeth. And from what I don't have kids, but what I hear from my friends who have kids, it's like painful when you're first trying to get your kid to brush their teeth, right? They're fighting it. They don't want to do it. They're saying that they already brushed their teeth, but they didn't. It's like a all out war, or even if it's not an all out war, something that you have to remind them at first to continue to do. Well, then the people that I know that have older kids, they don't have to call their kids anymore to tell them to brush their teeth, right? Their kids just brush their teeth. And it's probably something that's it's just the way that you do things all of a sudden, right? Like it's just the way that they do things. When you wake up, if you don't brush your teeth, yeah, your mouth probably feels gross and you probably feel a little off kilter. Like something's off here. I haven't like gotten to the part, right? Like same thing when you're going to bed. I can't get into my bed if I feel like my teeth aren't clean. I can't do it. And that's because I have that habit that I do every day. You can do the same thing with selling real estate, with all of the stuff, money making stuff, all of these things. You just have to do it for long enough for the habit to kick in, right? Like you just have to commit to getting over the hump of the annoyance of putting a new habit into place to have it kick in. There was this really good tip actually that I heard at the end of last year, and it was habit stacking. So if there's a new habit that you want to put in place, you stack it after a habit that you're already doing. So if you want to set up your calendar for the day and you brush your teeth, like you don't have to think about brushing your teeth, you just go in and do it, then on your mirror, or can you put your planner next to your toothbrush? Because you're going to brush your teeth. So if next to your toothbrush is your planner, do that. If the next thing you do is you go and get your coffee and then you want to work out, you're committing to working out, put your shoes next to the coffee maker, maybe not on the counter, but like right where you have to stand. And you can stack habits on top of each other, right? So that for the next 66 days, you're going to brush your teeth and you're going to make coffee in the morning and you're going to do whatever else you're going to do. Just stack one small habit in on top of that. And then by the end of, if you continue to do it, you'll easily become pretty regimented. I mean, you could stack half of your day. You could stack your whole day up until 12, right? If every day you get dressed, hopefully, right? And the next thing you want to do is sit down to lead generate, put your call list by your shirts on top of your dresser. So you open the drawer to put a shirt on and there's your call list for that day of the 10 people you want to call, or there's your whatever it is. Now you pick it up. Well, you make the choice, right? Ultimately, everybody makes the choice of whether they're going to do it or not, but you can help yourself a little bit, right? By creating some of these systems that just lead into a very, again, monotonous, which sometimes for especially real estate agents is what they don't want to do, because it's not as fun as doing a different thing every day and flying around and doing this and that and the other thing. But if we want predictable things in order to hit our goals in a predictable manner, that's what we have to do. Any other thoughts, comments, ahas, concerns, questions? No. Did I overwhelm you all? All right. So again, this is Q2 planning, right? The second quarter starting on Thursday. So you have a few days to get this together. Patty and I are going to be working on Wednesday to do the Market Center strategic plan. And we know all of our benchmarks. This is the last thing that I'll say is it is helpful to hit benchmarks. So to give you an example, for the market center, we have growth benchmarks in terms of how many agents we want to add to the market center every quarter. We have benchmarks around listings taken and contracts written, because those are our indicators of how much income we're going to have on a usually 90-day rolling basis. We have a profitability benchmark. So for a market center, that looks like owner profit and profit share back to our agents. We have goals there we want to set. And we have a culture. We do a 1-4-5 instead of a 1-3-5. And that looks like retention, right? Doing right by our agents so that a high number of them stay in business with us. And our charitable effort, our charitable arms. How do we want to give back to our community in the second quarter? And what is that dollar amount? We set dollar amounts around that. So you can translate all of that into quarter two, right? Instead of growth, it might look like new people in your database. Instead of agents in the office, your growth could be, how big do you want to grow your database, right? Listings taken, contracts written, that's real estate, right? That's exactly real estate. Your profitability would be your own your business's profit. You might do gross and net, right? And then culture, how do you want to show up in your community in the second quarter? Do you want to do something charitable? Do you want to give back? Do you want to just become a bigger member of your community, right? What's the goals around that? All right, so I appreciate you all showing up. I'm excited for next week. And if you have any questions about anything we went over today, just don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to answer any questions you have. And I'm looking forward to sitting here again at the end of the second quarter and you guys being like, Rita, let's just cover something else because we already have this covered. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you, you too. That was great.
Thank you.
Bye.